Hey, HopeQuest family, Troy and Melissa here, and as always, thank you so much for hanging out with us here in another episode of Hope for Today, where we try to authentically share our life with you, and we pray that that gives you hope in your life this week. This week, by the way, is very, very special because as you are watching this video, as long as you're watching it on Thursday, as you are watching this video, it is Melissa's birthday. And Melissa
is officially old.
Melissa is officially old. She hit the big 5-0 last year, so she's passing that this year. And doesn't she look lovely for being that old? Some of our really older friends are going to be offended,
right?
Like Steve and Cindy, for example.
Right, exactly.
Because they're far older than us, and so we're calling us. So anyway, we are so grateful. By the way, send to Melissa a note, maybe down below in the comments. Tell her happy birthday. Tell her how much you love her. Drop her a line. Tell her how much you're grateful for her and such. So happy birthday, sweetheart.
Thank you, dear.
Love you very much. We are trying to answer your questions. And we had one question, several questions asked last week. And again, this week you can write questions below, or you can send an email to me, and my email will be below in the description. So if you have questions that you'd like to see us address and talk about on Hope for Today. But Melissa, we had a question asked about the issue of forgiveness, which is a big issue. Mm-hmm. And the reality is addiction hurts relationships. And when addiction impacts relationships and the betrayal and the pain that really negatively hurts a relationship, the question was really about, okay, how can I ask my spouse, this I think in particular was a spouse, about where she's at in the process of forgiveness? So Melissa, tell us what we should know about forgiveness and addiction and repairing relationships.
So I think it's the first really important thing to understand that repairing a relationship happens in a process over time.
Right. It's
not, hey, I'm sorry I did this, are we good?
Right. Sure, yeah, we're good. Let's move on.
Right, let's move on like nothing happened.
That's not forgiveness.
There's three really foundational stages of repairing a relationship. And actually the first stage of that is forgiveness.
Okay. So forgiveness is simply the first of three stages in this process of repairing a relationship.
Absolutely.
Okay, and what does forgiveness actually mean?
So forgiveness actually is the easiest of them all. And that really is letting go of the debt. So if I say it this way, when someone does something to hurt me, right? I have the option to hold on to that debt as if they owe me something, or I can trust that what Jesus did on the cross covers that sin. Right. And when I release a debt, it basically means that I'm not requiring you to pay me in some way. I'm not going to punish you with my words. I'm not going to hold it over your head that you did this to me and try to make you feel the same pain that I have felt. So I'm releasing what you owe me. So
forgiveness is letting go of the debt and trusting that what Jesus did on the cross is enough to resolve that debt. So that's forgiveness.
Correct.
What's the next step in the process?
So the next step is healing.
Okay.
And because when someone we love hurts us, it's like we've been run over and we end up in the hospital in ICU and a full body cast. Okay.
ICU, full body cast, sounds painful.
It is very excruciatingly painful. And so if you were the one who ran me over, you can come in and I can say, you know what, honey, I know that you didn't intentionally do this to me. Addiction was ruling your life and you didn't really intend me harm, but you hurt me. So I forgive you. You don't have to pay for that. Right.
So forgiveness is transacted.
But where am I still?
You're still in a hospital, in ICU, in a body cast.
In pain.
In pain.
And so sometimes in this process, people are thinking that the issue is forgiveness when really it's just that I'm constantly in pain, reminded of the losses, reminded of the wounds, and that gets in the way of me being able to be fully present with you in the relationship.
And healing, which when someone is hurt and
Yes.
someone experiences a wound, betrayal, pain, healing must take place. And what I hear you saying is that healing takes time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So even if I forgive you, we can't go out and enjoy life together as if nothing happened.
Right.
I have to heal.
Right.
So we have forgiveness first, and then we have healing, and then there's a third stage in the process.
That's the big one.
Oh my goodness. And this one is the hardest of them all.
Would it be fair to say that when people get stuck in this process, the place they tend to get stuck is here in this third one?
Yes. Most often it's the third stage where people get stuck in repairing relationships. And
So what is that third
the third
stage?
stage is rebuilding trust.
Rebuilding trust. Ah, that's simple.
Yes, not.
I say to you, sweetheart, have you forgiven me? And you say,
Yes, I have forgiven you.
and are you feeling better? Pain over?
I am getting better. It doesn't suffocate me every day.
So we're good.
No, because I don't trust you as far as I can throw you.
Huh. Golly, that's tough there, sweetheart, but true. So what in the world can we do in this trust part of the process?
So, in this rebuilding trust part of the process, it's first of all, on the person that did the harm, it's an active process. I'm initiating behaviors and a lifestyle that show that I'm serious about living in integrity.
Right. And it's my job, if I'm the one that's hurt you, if I'm the one that's betrayed you, it's my job to take the initiative in that trust rebuilding process, part of the process.
Absolutely.
Okay. And what's the biggest piece? If we were to sum up the trust rebuilding process in a single phrase, what would that phrase be?
Consistency over time.
So consistent actions over time is the key, if you will, to rebuilding trust.
Correct.
So tell me a little bit more about that.
So what you say you're doing matches up with what you're doing.
Okay, so my words and my actions line up.
Correct.
Because in the past, what I said and what I did were oftentimes two different things.
That is correct.
So the words and actions lining up, okay.
And then the second thing I would say about that is my heart is for the relationship. So trust rebuilding is about letting go of self-protection and actually leaning in towards connection.
Okay.
And so there's not just a behavioral like action thing I see happening, but there's also some emotional transaction happening as I get to know you and you know me.
So not only am I pursuing actions, consistent actions over time, but I'm pursuing your heart. I'm listening. I'm interested.
Yes.
I am genuinely curious, and I don't ask questions in the way that we talked about last week.
Right. And you're also sharing yours.
Okay, I'm sharing my heart, my
Yes.
struggles, my stuff.
Right, you're revealing yourself to me so that as I get to know you, I can trust you more.
Okay.
So that's a 3-stage process: forgiveness, healing, trust, and they take time. And so when we talk about this process, sometimes it's hard for couples or people who are wrestling with this to understand, where am I? What's blocking repair?
And when we're talking time here, we're talking, a solid maybe month, right?
How about year or years?
Okay. So when you say consistent actions over time, you're talking months and months of my words and my actions lining up, me taking initiative,
right.
Me proving not just with my words but with my actions that I am trustworthy. Part of rebuilding trust is proving that by my words and actions I actually am trustworthy.
Right. So the question I have for you is, if you've been in a relationship, or maybe this is the best way to talk about how much time it's going to take, how long were you active in your addiction?
Years, lots of years.
Right. So let's say even if you give a tithe, a tenth of that time to rebuild trust.
Right.
If you were active in your addiction for 10 years, you're investing back a year in rebuilding trust.
Yeah, and I know for us, it was a solid probably year and a half at least before I felt like that you were really beginning to truly trust me. You were never controlling or suspicious, but I really felt like it took a good year and a half to really begin to say, you know what, Melissa really trusts me now. And at that point, I wanted to guard that because that was important to me.
Right.
And I wanted, it was a valuable thing. Your trust was valuable. I wanted to be very careful to keep that. Let me ask you this. What was the single biggest thing that I did that helped rebuild trust?
So I think the single biggest thing is that I saw you wanting recovery for yourself.
Okay.
I saw you wanting to be the man of integrity that God created you to be. And in that, I saw you trying to love me well.
And what you're saying there is you saw me taking responsibility for my recovery.
Correct.
And I was doing it for me, not just for saving our marriage or keeping you close or appeasing you.
Right.
You saw me genuinely motivated to change for me, and you saw me genuinely curious and trying to love you well.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask this question: What are some things that the offended party needs to be careful about or focus on during this rebuilding process? Because it's not just me trying to be consistent with my actions over time. What are some things that you can do?
So, I would say the trap that we, as the betrayed partner, or if you've been hurt in relationship, the trap we can fall into is being consumed by our fear.
Okay.
And if we're consumed by fear and we remain hypervigilant, always suspecting, always looking for the next shoe to fall,
Right.
then it sabotages trust rebuilding because even if you're doing a lot of good things, it can't get in.
And you said something to me earlier that really resonated with me because I think it's applicable for both of us. Our trust ultimately has to be in Jesus.
Right.
I used to depend upon you in a very unhealthy way.
Right.
And you used to give me way too much power in our relationship.
Correct.
We both had to learn to put our trust in Jesus. And as we trusted in him, then we were able to rebuild trust with me towards you.
Yes. And I would say it this way. I have to find my security in someone other than you. I have to find my security in a safe place other than you.
Okay.
Right? And that's hard personal work for each of us to do, especially when we're afraid and wounded.
Right. So in summary, there's 3 stages to repairing a relationship damaged by addiction. First of those is forgiveness, which means
releasing a debt.
Okay. And the second of those is healing, which means
Takes a bunch of time.
Okay. And the third of those is rebuilding trust, which means
learning to rest in the safety of the relationship.
And what we're looking for there is consistent actions over time. So our hope and prayer is that you guys, because here's the reality. We do stuff that hurts one another in a relationship, whether it's in a marriage or in our families, our parents, our children. Stuff happens that harms and hurts and damages relationships. And we must be intentional about this process. We must be intentional about forgiveness and healing and rebuilding trust, because it's only those stages as we walk through them that truly repair comes to a relationship and allows a relationship to be whole and connected the way God intended it and the way we want. Last words.
So if you're curious about where your spouse is, maybe watch this video together and talk about what stage you're in as a couple. Or are you still working through forgiveness and the layers of that? Or is this a healing time where it's just pain that sometimes blocks the relationship? Or are we in that really hard place of trying to rebuild trust, and it's hard because neither one of us trusts the heart of each other?
Our hearts are for you to experience hope in your relationships. And so I pray that this video has encouraged you to really dig into this 3-stage process of repairing relationships damaged by addiction. We're, as always, grateful for you, and we would be so grateful if you would share this video, if you would like this video, if you would subscribe to our channel. In fact, for Melissa's birthday, you could do all 3 of those. Please feel free to send Melissa a note down below. Tell her how awesome she is and how wonderful she looks for an older woman. And she reminded me, I said, I'm excited because I've never been married to kind of an older woman. And she reminded me that
I've never been married to an older man.
I'm old too. But again, no offense to Steve and Cindy, because we know y'all are much older than us, but we still love y'all. And we consider y'all more our age. So love and appreciate you guys. Grateful for you. And we will see you next week.